Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
She's a cat detection dog. She loves cats. She loves working. And I found her on Gumtree at 10 months old.
Wow. And what is she? I know she's a dog.
Working Cocker Spaniel.
A working cocker.
Oh, gorgeous.
Hello, Tuesday.
Hi there.
Hi, darling.
I have some interesting news, and I have a little cat here on my cup, as always. Because this morning I had to say goodbye to 18-year-old Pepper, who was born under my bed with her sister Nellie. And she was a crazy cat and has always done her own thing. And 3 years ago, she decided to go and live in the garden shed. And as I've shared with you, I had to deliver her food out there, but I was happy to do it. And she'd come up for cuddles and chats, but she decided that's where she was going to live. And then months ago, she was shouting at the back door and she came in. And this morning we had to take her to the vet and say goodbye. I think she's 18, so she had a long life of love, and it's hard when you've had that connection to an animal for that long, who's always been there that you talk to as you pass it, and and all of that. And the last few weeks have been cuddling her on the sofa, and she came back to spend her last moments with us, which was, and particularly in the last few days, I've been sleeping next to her through the night, as have my kids, and just stroking her and telling her we loved her. And the vets were amazing and so supportive. And it was a wonderful thing to be able to let her go and be at peace, really. But it's an odd thing, isn't it, with animals? I mean, we all share that, of course.
Yeah.
And in life, obviously. But
Has gone into the next life, her next time. All I would say is, Pepper, we are thinking of you, and go over the Rainbow Bridge, which is where she's going. So I'm sure lots of friends over there.
Yes. I know, darling, but what a fabulous life she had with you, looking after her.
Oh, bless her.
She knew where she wanted to be.
Yes, exactly. And I really do sympathise. It's so sad. But we actually, strangely enough, our guest is a pet detective. Now, I've never, ever heard of one of these before, but we have one on our show. And his name is Colin Butcher. So, Colin, are you there?
There he is. Well, Colin.
Welcome to our show, Colin. I'm sure that everybody asks you this question, but we need to know, how did you become a pet detective? What happened?
It was kind of like where I always intended to be, but I went a long way around, because I started off in the Royal Navy, then the police service, then I was a private eye. And it was when I was doing private detective work that I set up a little division in my business, which was just animal-related crimes. And all that happened was the demand for that service grew and grew and grew. So I formed a company called the Pet Detectives. And that's all I do now, recovering stolen and missing animals.
Wow. And how? What is the longest that an animal's been missing that you have found?
That was last year. A dog called Cassie. Cassie was stolen Mothering Sunday 2013. And we got her back just before Christmas. One of my dogs is Cassie's son, so it was a happy ending. When we got Cassie back,
that's incredible. Because actually, you said, didn't you, that being in the Navy, apparently, it was great for you because you studied climate and navigation, and that's really helped you. And one of your many things, I know that you're in the police force, etc., but being in the Navy was really a pivotal thing with what you're doing now.
Yeah, you just don't imagine when you're sitting studying meteorology all those years ago that one day it would come in so useful. And understanding the British climate and how I can use my search dog is really crucial to the role that I do now. So it's kind of bizarre how you learn these things when you're younger and then carry them forward.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing? People come to you and say, I've just been in the park, someone's stolen my dog or cat or whatever. And then what's the first thing you do? Is it just like any detective work, you begin to have a sort of board of where you piece things together? And what's the most sort of exciting, sort of the furthest you've gone in that role?
Well, every case is different. It's firstly, it's great fun because you never know what's coming in over the phone. So it tends to be Friday through to Monday morning. We have all of the calls over the weekend, so we deal with those on a Monday morning, and then we do the same on a Thursday. And we pick and choose amongst the 20 or 30 calls, those that we think we can actually help, and then we take those investigations. And for example, on Friday evening, there was a woman who contacted us. Her Jack Russell had gone missing, had chased a rabbit down a foxhole and was missing. And she was in a real state because it was 4 days and she was terrified her dog was going to perish. And we just used experience from many, many other investigations to work out where that dog is most likely going to be. And the dog was recovered the very next morning. But to answer the question about the most bizarre and longest investigation, one that spanned 4 continents. So a dog that was taken off the streets in Turkey by a woman running a charity over there. She was getting donations from an American lawyer who lives in Florida, who discovered that donations were being used to enhance lifestyle. And there was a dog amongst all of this called Lucky, an Andalusian shepherd dog. So in order to avoid the wrath of the sponsor, the British woman illegally shipped the dog to Europe, and then it was smuggled into the UK. So our job was to track that dog right across Europe, find out where it was in the UK, recover it, and then get the dog to America. So an amazing investigation.
So how did it get, why was it taken off the streets of Turkey? It was a rescue dog originally, was that it? Or was it somebody's person?
Yeah, there's a lot of people around Europe, around Eastern Bloc countries and Asia that do great work taking unwanted dogs off the streets. There was also a lot of fraudsters out there, and this British woman was one of the fraudsters. And perhaps as many as 60, 70% of the dogs that come to the UK as part of rescue packages, it's just criminal gangs exploiting people who love animals. We encounter it all the time.
This is but the whole stealing dog, it's a big business now, isn't it? So you must come across the law so that when you have to kind of abide by rules, and you can't necessarily go in and take a dog, because there must be a law somewhere along the line that stops you doing that.
Well, that's where my 15 years as a private eye helps me enormously.
Yeah.
I'm not bound by the law the way the police are. Because when I was a police officer, you're building a prosecution, so the evidence you gather has to be done correctly, otherwise the case is lost. But with me, I work for the owner of the missing animal, so my priority is getting the animal back. So sometimes we'll use a bit of skullduggery and to outwit the criminals.
Can you give us a scenario, please?
Yeah,
it sounds so amazing.
So if we know somebody has a stolen dog and we know where the dog is, we'll slip into that location in the middle of the night. We'll leave a kennel open and a gate open to give the thief the impression the dog was run off. And of course, the thief isn't going to go to the police and say, someone's stolen the dog I stole.
No.
No. Or we'll masquerade as insurance representatives.
So a lot of acting comes into play.
Yeah, we'll go on to a site pretending to be a postman, for example. We've got that uniform, and they're signing for a package, and we're having a little snoop around. No one ever challenges a postman when
True.
Except the dogs, of course.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, which is great. That actually helps us. You just run off and the dog chases you out the garden.
You must have had times though when it's been frustrating and you can't get to that dog. That must have been heartbreaking at times.
Yes, it's very, very frustrating when we go to the police and we give them an evidence package and say, this is where the dog or dogs are, we need your help. And they say, well, there's no evidence, or we're too busy, or the dog was never stolen in the first place. That's immensely frustrating, because then our hands are tied. We don't bring any prosecutions because the court don't like it if we bring private prosecution. So not every case works out to be a happy ending. And that's more often that is because it's outside of our control. which is just a little bit depressing. So everyone in the team gets a bit down for a few days.
Unusual animal you've ever been asked to find?
Oh, there are all sorts. There's one was a albino ball python, and what these snakes do, they go into a rabbit burrow, turn around, and they block the rabbit burrow. When the rabbit comes in, they grab it. Well, a very, very famous perfume manufacturer used such a snake in an advertising campaign. And then that evening, everybody went home, and the next day they came to work, and it was missing.
Oh, no.
It was off the temporary aquarium, and the snake was somewhere in the office, and there was like 30 members of staff freezing outside, refusing to go in. You know what the snake was. So we're up there searching with a plumber and finding that snake. But every week there's something unusual.
How big is your team?
Four people, 2 dogs.
Oh,
Teal is insane.
And how long have you been a sort of team like this? And do you all train together? And having been a policeman, do the police not listen to you then?
No, they used to think it was a big joke. I mean, I'll give you an example. Last week, this is a classic case of the police. We were working in Wiltshire, looking for a missing cat called Elvis. And we're up and down drives, knocking on doors. On the back of our uniform, we've got UKPD, pet detective, so people can see what we are. I had Molly with me. And people started to phone the police saying, oh, there's these 2 men, they look suspicious, water going up drives. So the police came out looking for us, and they went to the addresses where we had gone, and people were saying, yeah, these pet detectives are here looking for a missing cat. And they were telling people that we were rude, we actually were burglars, pretending to be pet detectives. Of course, later that night, when I actually found the police, because they didn't find me, they were surprised that I actually was a pet detective, and they said, oh, we've been telling everyone that you're burglars and to let you in. So that's the crazy situations that we encounter with the police sometimes.
So what do your dogs do, Colin, when they come with you?
Molly is a cat detection dog, so she finds missing cats on their scent profile. And she's the only dog in the world that can do this. And
wow. Where is she? Can we see
is she
her?
the one that just kissed you?
I'll just bend down together.
oh, Molly.
Hello, Molly.
I mean, does Molly like cats?
Yeah, she's around cats all the time. All the negatives that a dog will have are trained by people. So we get a blank canvas, which is a puppy, and we decide how we're going to paint that canvas. So she's a cat detection dog. She loves cats. She loves working. And Molly I found her on Gumtree at 10 months old.
Wow. And what is she? I know she's a dog.
Working Cocker Spaniel.
A working cocker.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah,
She's gorgeous.
She's had 176 recoveries. That's cats.
Yeah.
Finding terriers if they get trapped down fox surfs or rabbit warrens. She had a bloody jewelry once on Hampstead Common.
Yeah.
And she still has it because the police couldn't be bothered to search their records to see if the jewelry was stolen. So they just said, if nobody comes forward, keep it. So it's in a box under one of the cupboards over there.
Oh, we've got lots of revelations here today.
So is your business expanding then now, Colin?
No, it could if I wanted it to. But when I was running my private eye business, I had about 12 people sneaking around the country doing all sorts of stuff. Clients. That's a whole different story.
I bet.
Which we'd like to hear about, please.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
managing 12 people meant that I wasn't doing what I really enjoyed, which was
I see. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
and I kept on putting off setting up the pet detective agency. So in the end, I reduced the team size down. I sold off parts of the services and focused on animals.
Oh, lovely.
The turnover is really high on staff because it's quite traumatic. Every single client we deal with, whether it's a stolen dog, a missing cat, or any missing pet, is traumatized. Takes its toll on the people that work in the office, sadly.
Yeah, it must be very upsetting. I can't imagine how you do it, because obviously it doesn't always work out well, does it? I suppose.
We're We tend to have a high success rate because we don't pick cases where there's no real chance of getting the animal back.
Yeah.
So we like to be results driven. So most of the cats and most of the dogs, we do get them back. And Cassie was 8.5 years, and we had Cassie's photograph on the office wall all that time, never ever took it down, thinking one day.
And where did you find her eventually? What was the final part of the puzzle that gave you that key to finding her freedom?
It was a stroke of good luck and the work of some brilliant people. We have a number of volunteers that have worked with us many, many years, and they will go for all the small ads where puppies are advertised for sale, and they look at the parent dogs. And the criminal gangs, sometimes they use Photoshop to disguise the dog, but what this particular gang had done is they used a very old image of Cassie with their first litter of pups. And that was spotted. The photograph was shared with the original owners of Cassie, who were adamant that it was their dog. And then that enabled us to get the email address and the phone numbers and use our private eye skills.
And how did you get her back in the end? What did you do?
Right, well, that's where we put pressure on the police. The police in Surrey originally hadn't crimed the theft of Cassie, so they said, no theft, we're not getting involved. So when I said to Sussex Police, well, if you don't get involved, I'll go there with the BBC, we'll recover the dog as a test purchase, and then the BBC will say, well, where are the police? So we kind of like persuaded, bullied, harassed the police until
Great.
Cassie got crimed, 8.5 years after she was stolen. Eventually, there was a crime report that enabled the police to get a warrant, and there was a raid, and Cassie and 3 pups were recovered.
What was she stolen for? To breed? Yeah.
50% of dogs that stole in the UK will end up
To breed, yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens about these gangs, Colin? The other people that are just, often we hear, we get them on our sort of neighbourhood thing that there are gangs around or people taking pictures. What happens when you find these people? Do they get arrested?
Well, no, they don't, sadly. So in Cassie's case, even though there's really, really strong evidence, because the people that were breeding with Cassie, they offer a microchip service, an ultrasound service, puppy walking, dog training.
Wow.
They're not getting prosecuted by the police, which is so frustrating because we gave really good evidence to the police. This is Teal.
Hi, Teal.
And what does Teal do?
Teal is the son of Cassie. So remember I said that when we got Cassie back, there were 3 pups. Well, Teal was one of them, and the owners said, we want you to have Teal.
So
he's too young. I've started his training. I kind of like the idea of having a truffle finding dog. I've done that before. Molly's got a few more years left on cat detection. So, well, I'll have to see how Teal comes along. At the moment, he's just being a little bit of a monster.
Good.
Nice temperament. And again, we don't know what would happen to Teal had we not got him back with the police.
How old is he, Colin? How old is he?
I mean, look, he's so curious about it, and he's a brave little boy. But at the moment, he's chewing everything that he shouldn't be chewing: doors, cupboards.
Of course.
people.
Colin, sorry, if any of our lost a dog or a cat, how do they contact you?
People contact us either by social media, via email, by telephone. The best way is via email.
Right.
We simply don't have the time to be on the phone all day long. We want to be out investigating. And it can take 45 minutes on a phone call. Only for us to realise that we can't help that particular person, especially if their pet went missing a long time ago.
So we'll put the email address on our link here.
Is there
anything else that you would like to talk about?
I have a book out.
Oh, yes.
It's quite funny how this book came out. So The Guardian approached me many, many years ago to ask me about what I did for a living. And the journalist said, will you put a few lines together on an email, which I did. And then when that went into the newspaper, most of what I'd written in the email was actually in the article. And then a publisher spotted the article in The Guardian, made an approach and said, do you think you could write a book in the same tone? And of course you say yes. And then I went, oh no, what have I done? But it was great fun. And the book has done incredibly well. It's 13 languages. It comes out in Russia soon.
Have you got it there with you, darling? Because we need to have you lifted into frame. We're not here.
Yes,
there it is.
Molly, the pet detective dog.
Oh, wow.
lovely.
Yeah. It is as far as Japan, Russia, Brazil, and this month it's coming out as children's version in America. So I'm really, really pleased. But that was getting up at 4:30 in the morning and writing for 3 hours. And
Yeah.
I think you need to do a little video with her to show us what she can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got our own YouTube channel, which is more about advising people on how to keep their pets safe.
Right.
Pet Detective TV. And in just over a week's time, on the 14th, 15th, day after Valentine's Day, we've got a Netflix documentary coming out.
Oh, brilliant.
Premiering in London, and it's called The Detective and the Thief. And it's about one of my old cases, a dog stolen in Willesden Green during a burglary. And it's the owner of that dog talking during the documentary. I talk about my investigation. And the director managed to get a dog thief to participate in the documentary. So getting the 3 different parts of victim, offender, and detective. So
brilliant.
And a happy ending, I hope.
Absolutely. Yeah, Buffy, we got Buffy back. Buffy's in the book.
Oh, brilliant.
Lovely.
Lovely investigation. Well, it was, when I say lovely investigation, it really, really tested me, and I enjoy a challenge. So Buffy disappeared into North London, and we got Buffy back. So
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, it's been so fabulous talking to you, Colin. It really has. It's been enlightening and fun, and wow, I can't wait to read your book. So we'll also put a link to that on our
website
and the Netflix series documentary.
Definitely.
And then the next project, the next book will be all about my time as a private eye, where I'll be spilling the beans on all of the mischief that people get up to when.
But then you have to come back.
Please.
You have to come back and tell us all about.
Tell us all about that.
Yeah. Certainly, that'll be a lot of.
Definitely.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Brilliant.
much.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Wasn't that interesting?
I
Yeah.
know.
It's so fascinating. What an amazing man to do that, to make that journey from, the Navy to the police to then to being a private eye and then for finding animals. I mean, what amazing.
I was out a little Teddy. My Chihuahua was in my car.
Yeah.
And as I came out, a woman at the car door, at the car window, and I thought, uh-oh, what's she doing? And I walked up to her, she went, oh my God, your bloody Chihuahua's like a Rottweiler. She said, if I put my hand in there, they've taken my hand off. I said, yes, he would. So don't think about it.
Good.
You went,
Good for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sure she wasn't. It just looked a bit suspicious. But he
was.
Yes.
Can we have a knee, darling? Can we have a knee update on Teddy?
Well, he's absolutely fine.
I did tell you, Sarah, didn't I?
You did. Well done.
Yeah. That's the thing. Their knees come out a lot, and that's the. You need to change vets because their knees come out. The other thing I didn't say to you, Sherry, which I must tell you, is that there is a Chihuahua Facebook page, like a quite a lot of Chihuahua community, and it's quite useful to go on there as well.
I've got it today.
Yeah, you'll see what happens to their knees. But I did say to you, it happens to Beanie a lot, so don't. It just looks awful, but it actually rights itself. And you spend a fortune on surgery, which isn't really worth it because it'll happen again.
Yeah. No, he did say I'm all right, Nan. Just forget it. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Did you know also there is a dating website now which has just been launched by Pooch and Mutt? You know those lovely street-day centres? Pooch, they're just about to do it to launch a fabulous dating website, which I can't wait to go on, for dogs.
Oh, so not for us then?
Not for us,
listen,
I
had a little Westie called Charlie, and Charlie got married on Loose Women to another Westie. John Barrowman was the vicar. And anyway, so we went to the ceremony, and right at the end, the little lady Westie bit my Charlie and
There's no
on his
that.
nose, and he screamed. I went, "That's a divorce." They were divorced.
Yeah.
It was annulled immediately.
I was going to say, of course, it would
Absolutely,
be.
that'll do
I
it.
don't think it's a good idea, that.
But yeah, I must tell you about Beanie. Beanie is, mature like us.
Yes.
And she's still, she still comes into season, and she's going berserk at the moment. She ran the other day when we got her into the woods. She just ran off. My other two dogs went, "What?"
Where's
And
she gone?
she's just standing there going, her face, her eyes are gone. She's just looking for a man.
Like us.
Wow. Is that what we do then? Looking for a
No,
man?
No,
Not
dear.
what we are,
No.
darling.
no, thank you.
If she saw
No,
Teddy,
definitely not.
if she saw Teddy, she'd be after it. But he doesn't have his whatsits, does he?
Yes,
Oh, with Sherry.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could
Yes.
be grandmothers.
I mean, it's
Wow.
terribly sad because the two teddies have to be washed constantly. It drives me mad.
Oh dear, there's too much
And the kids
for a
go,
Tuesday afternoon.
"Nana, Teddy's at it again. Can you stop him? Because it's so embarrassing." So I have to stop him.
Beanie has a shag toy.
That is right.
She's just on the bed all the time going,
Oh,
She does.
I
She's at it
thought
all the
maybe
time.
on that note, I think I have to go and lie down. I'm sorry.
Thank you all very much, but I think I've
Thank
had
you.
enough.
Yes. Good night,
Bye.
Vienna.